Meet Jongdae and Yongji. These two, they're not just friends, they're practically brothers. They grew up together in a rundown orphanage, a place that probably smelled like sadness and old socks. Life wasn't exactly handing them lemons, more like rotten garbage. No parents, no official paperwork, no clue who they even were or where they came from. The only things they did have: a beat-up, ripped sack and a mountain of smelly, recycled junk that they collected to try and scrape by. And when it came to food, forget gourmet. We're talking leftovers, scraps, the dregs of whatever nobody else wanted. Rice that had seen better days, the bottom of the soup pot, and fish that was, shall we say, past its prime. You'd think hustling during the day would be enough, right? Wrong. These guys weren't even allowed to relax. Evenings weren't a break, and nights were a cold, relentless grind. They were always lying down in the same bed. The entire night they were huddled under this threadbare blanket, shivering so bad their toes felt like they were about to fall off. It can't get any worse. But trust me, when life is already kicking you while you're down, fate has a funny way of finding new ways to mess with you. One morning, in the middle of what was probably a really awesome dream of a brighter future, a freaking crane crashes through their roof. The noise is deafening, waking them up from their not-so-real dreams. Before they can even figure out what the heck is going on, a bunch of shady-looking guys show up with construction equipment, giving them the evil eye. The head honcho, looking at them like they're a couple of stray dogs, barks, "Why are you two still living here? I told you to move out ages ago." Watching their dilapidated home get torn apart by these guys, Yongji just loses it. He rushes in to try and stop them. It doesn't go well. Before you know it, both of them are dragged off to this makeshift holding pen run by the local gang. And that's where the real education begins. The kind you don't want. Slap after slap after slap. Each one makes their head spin and face swell up. Their faces, which were already nothing special, are now sporting the lovely artwork of some socialite thugs. Just then, the gang's big boss storms in, all swagger and attitude. He's there to rally his troops for a mission, disrupting a political rally. He barges in and demands from his lieutenant, Chongbei, "How many guys do we have available right now?" Chongbei, looking a little nervous, stammers, "Only about 40. The boss, Gil-soo, his a face that turns greener than a moldy watermelon. He scowls, clearly not thrilled with the head count. Then, he turns his gaze to the two orphans cowering in the corner. "Who are these two?" he snarls. Chongbei explains, "These kids were squatting in our development area. They caused some trouble, so the boys brought them in." Gil-soo thinks for a minute, then nods slowly, a calculating look on his face. They're so short-handed that they're basically ready to recruit the janitor at this point. Without much hesitation, he decides to throw Yongji and his bro into the mix. It's not like they're asking them to disarm a bomb. It's just a little rumble. So, a few minutes later, the two brothers find themselves crammed into a van with a bunch of gangsters. On the ride over, they get the lowdown from Gil-soo himself. After listening to the boss's master plan, it doesn't seem too crazy. All they have to do is blend in with the crowd, wait for the rally to start, and then cause a little chaos. If they're feeling brave, maybe smash something to disrupt the event. The second the order is given, these guys just explode into action, like they've been waiting their whole lives for this moment. No hesitation, no fear, just a full-on, synchronized rush into that meeting hall like a freaking army that's been on standby. These dudes are serious, following orders from the top without question. Knives out, bats raised. They don't say a word. They just barrel inside and start absolutely trashing the place. It's like a demolition derby, but with people. Now, Jongdae and Yongji, they're a little slower on the uptake. They're trailing behind the pack. But the scene in front of them just freezes them in their tracks. Before this, they naively thought this was just some small-time brawl. They had no idea things were about to get this intense. And wouldn't you know it, right at this moment, Yongji's stomach decides to stage a revolt. Apparently, guzzling all that free milk before the fight wasn't such a brilliant idea. He can't handle the pain, so he clutches his gut and bolts from the scene, heading straight for the nearest bathroom. While Yongji is battling his insides, Jongdae's left in the middle of the chaos and, with no time to contemplate, jumped right in. And right away, it's like he's been waiting to do this his whole life. He starts landing blow after blow, perfectly timed and placed, turning the enemy's faces into a Picasso painting. Every punch is precise, no wasted movement. This guy's got some serious street fighting skills. In the middle of all the mayhem, Jongdae stood out like a spotlight, and his skills did not go unnoticed by Gil-soo himself, who gave him a look of respect. Now, while it's basically World War III outside, inside the bathroom, Yongji-I's having his private apocalypse. He barely has time to wipe when he has to grab the nearest trash can as he left. Before he even knows what's happening, he's out cold and collapsed on the trash receptacle in there. Back outside, Jongdae is fighting with everything he's got. He's hitting as hard as he can with no fear in his eyes. He's putting in the work, but all of a sudden, sirens start wailing, announcing the arrival of the cops. The big boss, Gil-soo, immediately signals for everyone to pull out before they all get busted. Without a second thought, Jongdae starts scrambling, looking everywhere for his brother. But when he goes back to the bathroom, the place where his dimwit brother had holed up, there's no sign of him. Yongji-I's sudden disappearance at that moment becomes a turning point, splitting the two brothers' lives in two. From that second on, their fates diverge, like two railroad tracks that never meet again. After getting back to the hideout, Jongdae still can't find his brother. Seriously worried, he decides to go back to the scene of the rumble the next day. The second Jongdae shows up, Chongbei throws him a nasty look and demands to know what he's doing there. But Jongdae doesn't care about the attitude. He just wants to know if anyone saw Yongji-I make it back yesterday or not. Gil-soo sees Jongdae and instantly looks annoyed. He's about to brush him off with some half-hearted words, trying to get rid of him ASAP. But Jongdae isn't backing down. He walks right up to the boss, looks him dead in the eye, and seriously pleads to stay. Jongdae says he's a good fighter and, more importantly, he believes that if he stays, he might actually find a clue about his missing brother. Faced with that honest, raw determination, Gil-soo suddenly has a change of heart. He decides to take Jongdae in. And get this, he even takes him back to his own house, a ridiculously rare show of favor for a newbie stepping into this crazy world. When they arrive, Gil-soo's daughter herself cooks up a whole welcoming meal for Jongdae. Now, from the time he was a kid, Jongdae had been living on nothing but corn flour and watered-down noodles. But nothing could have prepared him for this girl. The girl that he had laid his eyes on was so gorgeous. The guy had never seen a girl this beautiful. Ever. Her unexpected appearance makes him blush so hard he can barely look her in the eye. As she leaves the room, his eyes follow her, like he's completely spellbound. Growing up, Jongdae's childhood was nothing but surviving on the bare minimum. So, when he sees this spread of incredible food, his mouth goes into overdrive. Without wasting a second, he grabs a spoon and digs into a huge mouthful of rice. He eats like he hasn't tasted real food in years because, let's face it, he probably hasn't. While he's eating, Gil-soo starts casually chatting, trying to dig into Jongdae's past. And Jongdae doesn't hold anything back. He tells him he's an orphan, grew up in an orphanage, and always had Yongji-I by his side. Their whole childhood was about sticking together, relying on each other to survive. That night, when it's time for bed, Gil-soo even has his daughter bring Jongdae warm blankets and a comfy mattress. In that moment, Jongdae feels like he's finally found a place to belong after a lifetime of wandering. But little does he know, this is just the beginning of a series of schemes and hidden agendas. He's fallen into a pit of mud, where the more he struggles, the deeper he sinks, with no way to get out. That night, while Jongdae's lying on that warm mattress, enjoying a feeling of comfort and safety he's never known, a piercing scream suddenly cuts through the quiet night, like a knife slicing through silk. Sensing that something's terribly wrong, he jumps up, throws open the door, and rushes outside without a second thought. The scene that hits him leaves him no time to think. Some stranger is attacking the man who just opened his home to him. Without hesitating, Jongdae throws a kick that takes the guy down. After dealing with that goon, he quickly goes on the defensive, determined to protect the guy who gave him his first home in his life. But before he can even catch his breath, another assassin appears out of the shadows. Both Jongdae and the other guy are like wild animals, growling and circling each other. One is a newbie just stepping into the world of gangsters. The other is a seasoned assassin with a lifetime of experience in the trenches. The skill gap is huge, but Jongdae doesn't back down. The assassin, probably not wanting to waste energy on an unnecessary fight, quietly retreats into the darkness. Even though the assassin retreated, that encounter still had devastating consequences. One of Gil-soo's closest and most trusted lieutenants was down, gone for good. The very next day, everyone starts making preparations for the fallen comrade's funeral. While everyone's trying to hold back their grief and take care of the arrangements, Taegon shows up. He's not just Gil-soo's boss, but also a freaking government official. Tae-gon was the guy who ordered Gil-soo to disrupt that political rally. But now, the whole thing's blown up in the media, making it impossible to deny. Tae-gon doesn't stick around long. He just offers a few shallow, formal words of comfort, then quickly leaves. After Tae-gon departs the funeral with that cold, callous attitude, Gil-soo finally loses his composure. He quietly calls Jong-dae and Chong-bae over to a corner and starts talking about the future of the gang. For Jong-dae, those words are like a knife twisting in his gut. Before he can even recover from that bloody night, he's hit with the truth. While Gil-soo was injured, many of his trusted brothers were taken out one by one. The rest have disappeared, either going into hiding or running off on their own. The so-called gang is now just a rotting skeleton in the rain. Gil-soo gives a bitter laugh and then makes a brutal announcement. He's dissolving the gang. And just like that, 3 years flashed by since that fateful day. Yong-ji, the guy who vanished in the chaos at the meeting hall, finally resurfaces. And get this, he's joined the opposing side, the organization of Gi-take, a powerful new underworld figure on the rise. With someone watching his back, no longer some nobody, Yong-ji is now a notorious hatchet man working for his new boss. Gi-take isn't just a ruthless crime boss. He's also a political strategist. He's doing everything he can to cozy up to the government, trying to infiltrate the power structure. So, truckloads of cash and suitcases full of money are constantly being funneled to corrupt officials, all to buy their way into the future. Back in the 1970s, Korea, land was practically worthless, but that's what made it such fertile ground for profit. The politicians understand that this country is small and the population is growing out of control, so whoever owns the most land will own the throne. Everyone knows it, so a land grab war is breaking out. That's why scenes of forced evictions and blatant land theft are becoming commonplace. And if anyone dares to stand in their way, no negotiations needed, they're just taken out permanently. Meanwhile, Jong-dae has found work at a nightclub, working as a bouncer and hired muscle for Gil-soo's former subordinates. And Gil-soo is now working for him. Today, a man comes looking for Jong-dae, needing help settling a score. This guy claims he was ripped off and had all his land ownership documents stolen. After listening to this guy's sob story, Jong-dae doesn't hesitate. He agrees to help right away. He goes straight to the room where the swindlers hold up and demands to know where the land ownership documents are. The guy initially refuses to admit any wrongdoing. It's only when Jong-dae grabs a pair of scissors and threatens to snip off his, assets that the guy freaks out and confesses that he sold them to a woman named Sung-hee. Jong-dae, having gotten the information, heads back home. First thing he does is give the money he earned to Gil-soo, saying it's his wages for the month. Since dissolving the gang, Gil-soo opened a small tailoring shop. Seeing Jong-dae bringing him money again, Gil-soo tells him that he doesn't need to bring any more. He says Jong-dae should live his own life. Afterward, they even throw a huge birthday party for Jong-dae. They decide to celebrate the day Jong-dae first stepped into Gil-soo's house as his birthday. But while everyone's talking and having a good time, the club owner comes looking for Jong-dae, because Gil-soo's clothing shop was opened with a loan from him. Jong-dae is working at the club to pay off Gil-soo's debt. Now, the owners come to collect because Gil-soo hasn't been able to pay them back. The owner's not budging, even saying that if he doesn't get his money within a week, he'll burn the shop to the ground. Jong-dae overhears the whole thing from behind the door. So, the next day, Jong-dae takes the swindler with him to meet Sung-hee. The second they meet, Sung-hee says that she's heard about Jong-dae's situation. Jong-dae's skin starts to crawl because he knows that the woman sitting in front of him is seriously rich. He comes right out and asks to borrow 400 million to take care of a family emergency. He promises to pay back the debt within 4 months. And the swindler even chimes in, saying that it's rare to find someone as good-looking as Jong-dae in their line of work. Sung-hee agrees to Jong-dae's request, but she has one condition. She's been running into a stubborn old man lately, and she still can't buy this piece of land. So, she needs Jong-dae to help her get that prime piece of real estate. Meanwhile, 2 politicians are plotting some earth-shattering scheme. This Young-kyu guy is planning to run in the next election. But the money he has on hand isn't enough to build his empire, so he's come up with a brilliant plan. Take advantage of the insane overpopulation in Seoul to propose to the president that the southern region of Seoul could be annexed in the future. That way, they can buy up land now and reap huge profits later. His subordinate hears him out and immediately gets to work to make it happen. At this time, Jong-dae has brought the rich Sung-hee to the location of the land. Sung-hee goes to the farmer to discuss the price, thinking that 100 million will be enough to buy the land. But the old man doesn't even look at her, much less talk about the price. Then, Ji-taek steps in and tells Sung-hee in front of the farmer that the area will become a park. The old man hears this and rushes out to his field, where he sees government people measuring his land. In the end, Jong-dae only needs to use 30 million to get the land into his hands. After getting his hands on the land documents, Sung-hee starts advertising and using every media trick in the book, driving the land prices through the roof. Eventually, the value of the land increases fivefold compared to the original price. Sung-hee, now swimming in cash, starts looking at Jong-dae with new eyes. She pulls out a huge stack of money and asks him to do her another favor: steal the land documents from some mysterious figure. Jong-dae accepts the mission and immediately starts digging through the piles of documents. After turning things upside down, he finally finds the file. But just then, a bunch of thugs barged in, scaring the living daylights out of both of them. Luckily, the thugs aren't looking for them. They're there to torture someone else. Jong-dae recognizes the smoking guy standing over there. He's the same guy who assassinated Gil-soo that night, but in his wildest dreams, he never would have imagined that the person being tortured was his long-lost brother, Yong-ji. Seeing that things aren't looking good, Jong-dae keeps close. Sure enough, after only a short while, they decide to off Yong-ji. The guy Yong-ji took out by the lake was a member of their organization, so now they have to take out Yong-ji in retaliation. In this life-or-death situation, Jong-dae doesn't hesitate and jumps into the fray. After taking out all of the bad guys, Jong-dae jumps into the pit and helps Yong-ji sit up. After so long apart, the brothers finally have a chance to meet again. They hug each other for a long time. Then, Jong-dae takes Yong-ji back to Gil-soo's place to recover. But Gil-soo says that after Yong-ji leaves, Jong-dae isn't allowed to mention his name again. He doesn't want Jong-dae getting involved because of some old ties, because he's trying to live a normal life now. A little later, Jong-dae asks Yong-ji where he disappeared to all those years ago. Yong-ji says that he got on the wrong bus by accident, and after that, he thought he would come back to Jong-dae once he was more successful. That's why he didn't come looking for him. Then Yong-ji tells Jong-dae to come work for him. Yong-ji's subordinates have spread throughout the region, and he can give Jong-dae half of them. Jong-dae smiles and says that he'll come when he has the chance. After arranging everything for Yong-ji, Jong-dae goes to find his boss to give her the stolen documents. Seeing the documents, Sung-hee immediately pulls out 100 million and puts it on the table. But what Jong-dae wants isn't money. What he wants is the land documents. Sung-hee feels like she's getting ripped off. Just then, Jong-dae suddenly walks over and plants a passionate kiss on her lips. Sung-hee, shocked by the sudden kiss, is still secretly accepting the rogue action. After getting things done, Jong-dae directly takes part in the land documents. Then, Jong-dae tells Sun-hye that he wants to meet more people at the top. Sun-hye hears this and wants to introduce Jong-dae to Tae-gon, but to meet him, he needs an investment certificate. After they finish up, Sun-hye tells Jong-dae that Tae-gon has a thorn in his side. If that person continues to live, Tae-gon's path to getting reinstated will be incredibly difficult. At this time, Jong-dae comes up with a surprisingly bold plan. At the same time, Yong-ji is sitting and talking with his sister-in-law in the car. The two of them have been secretly having an affair for a long time, but now Ji-taek is calling the sister-in-law to come live with him, so they won't have a chance to do anything wrong in the future. So, the sister-in-law wants Yong-ji to say that she doesn't want to go. But how can Yong-ji say that? It's completely inappropriate. It's obvious that Ji-taek would send him down to meet the Grim Reaper. Seeing that Yong-ji is unwilling, the sister-in-law angrily gets out of the car and leaves. Unfortunately, their secret affair is discovered by one of Ji-taek's subordinates. As soon as Yong-ji sees him, he knows he's in for a major headache. The guy saw him getting promoted too quickly and wants Yong-ji to give him a cut. He never expected to catch such a spicy scene, so he's using this weakness against Yong-ji. Yong-ji has just been chewed out by his woman and is now being bullied by a small-time subordinate. He loses his temper and sends the guy on his way permanently. But from Ji-taek's perspective, killing your own people is the greatest crime. Powerless, Yong-ji can only call Jong-dae to help him deal with the cold body, admitting that he shouldn't have acted impulsively. He doesn't know if he'll be taken out by Ji-taek after it's discovered. Hearing this, Jong-dae reveals his plan: for him and Yong-ji to work together for Tae-gon. All they need to do now is eliminate Tae-gon's opponent, Ji-taek, and that will be a major accomplishment. Without saying another word, they get right to work. So, Zhang Dae goes to find G.I. Take's scarred-faced subordinate first, because he's one of G.I. Take's most trusted men. To take out G.I. Take, they need to break through his defenses quickly. Not only the scarred-faced guy, but all of G.I. Take's trusted subordinates meet their end at the hands of Zhang Dae. It's like the time he stabbed Gil Su in the leg, because in Zhang Dae's heart, he's long seen Gil Su as his father. While Zhang Dae is dealing with the scarred-faced guy, Yongqiu's subordinates aren't idle either. According to Zhang Dae's plan, all of G.I. Take's subordinates are eliminated. In the end, Zhang Dae cooperates with Yongji to finish off G.I. Take, one controlling his breathing, the other stabbing him with each fatal blow. After everything is done, Sung Hee introduces Zhang Dae to Tae Gon. After Sun Hai leaves, Zhang Dae says that he's met Tae Gon before, on the day Gil Su held a funeral for his brother. He reveals that he was Gil Su's subordinate. Hearing this, Tae Gon remembers that it's been a long time since he's seen Gil Su. He says that Zhang Dae probably knows G.I. Take as well. If he wants to follow him, he needs to show some proof. Then, Tae Gon says that he wants Zhang Dae to take care of G.I. Take for him, but Zhang Dae says that he's already cleaned house. Next, Zhang Dae jumps to a whole new level, and all the subordinates have to pay their respects to him. Tae Gon announces in front of everyone that Zhang Dae will now be their boss. Just like that, Zhang Dae successfully steps into the position of boss of an entire gang. His previous ambitions no longer seem so far-fetched. After becoming the boss, Zhang Dae calls Yongji to talk. He wants the two brothers to work together. But Yongji says that G.I. Take doesn't suspect him right now, so he wants to stay in that position. Because Yongji doesn't want to give up the empire he's worked so hard to build. He wants to cooperate with Zhang Dae to pull off a big play, taking out G.I. Take, so he can take over G.I. Take's territory. But Zhang Dae says that he doesn't just want to expand his territory. He wants all of Korea in his hands. Hearing this, Yongji is stunned, because he didn't expect Zhang Dae's ambitions to be so great. Look, all the places I've just been through are my land. Sounds good, because the more land, the more money. We'll just wait and see, and one day we'll both get rich. After becoming the boss, Zhang Dae starts working for Tae Gon, teaching his subordinates how to attract women. They have to use flamboyant ways to make themselves happy. All their preparations are for a purpose. They want to lure women from the countryside to sell their land to them. Their dancing moves become more skilled, and the contracts are signed faster. Very quickly, Zhang Dae cons almost all the women in the area. Then, they sell the women's land documents to them at extremely low prices and use some tricks to frame the children of high-ranking officials. So their fathers have no choice but to hand over the land deeds. Tae Gon also highly praises Zhang Dae's work. But there's no way to avoid trouble with this kind of work. Just as Zhang Dae is seeing Tae Gon off, he's ambushed from behind. When Zhang Dae wakes up, he's been beaten to a pulp. The person who beat Zhang Dae is none other than G.I. Take. He keeps demanding to know who Zhang Dae gave the land documents to. Zhang Dae replies that he gave them all to Tae Gon. It's too late. G.I. Take, upon hearing this, is furious and starts beating and cursing him. Yongji, as a brother, can only stand there and watch as Zhang Dae is beaten until his whole body is covered in blood. After tiring himself out, G.I. Take has someone contact Gil Su, saying that if he doesn't find a way to bring the land documents back, he can come and pick up his subordinate's body. Then, Zhang Dae is locked up by G.I. Take's people. Seeing Zhang Dae locked in an iron cage, Yongji tells his subordinate to bring him a bowl of noodles, since he's entitled to a last meal before being executed. While the subordinates aren't paying attention, he spits a razor blade from his mouth. G.I. Take's subordinates are standing in a line outside, waiting for Gil Su to arrive. As soon as he arrives, Gil Su demands to see the person first. G.I. Take orders his subordinate to bring Zhang Dae out. As the subordinate is about to drag Zhang Dae out, he takes the opportunity to kick him into the next room. The people standing outside hear the gunshot and are momentarily stunned, but they quickly react, and the two sides engage in a direct fight. Gil Su, who once led a powerful gang, even though he's been in seclusion for a long time, is still strong enough to break bones. Luckily, Gil Su's side wins, and Zhang Dae only suffers superficial injuries. On the other side, G.I. Tae's deal fails, making him angry and scolding everyone. One subordinate says that perhaps there's a traitor within their ranks. G.I. Tae gets angry and slaps the subordinate, asking why he didn't investigate if he knew there was a traitor. Why is he standing there talking so much? After scolding his subordinates, G.I. Tae goes to find his superior, Sung Gu. He tells him that all the good land has been bought up by Gil-su's people, and after buying it, they gave it all to Taegon. Sung-gu orders Ji-taek to quickly deal with all of Taegon's people. Following the orders of his superior, Ji-taek brings his people to Jongdae's territory. Not stopping there, he has his subordinates kidnap Taegon. Before long, Gil-su's people are all captured. To cover for Jongdae, Gil-su confesses to all the illegal land deals and causing bloodshed in public. The married daughter, Sun-hae, is also dragged out of the house by her husband, who tells her to quickly bring back the money she swindled. On Jongdae's side, he's sitting in one place, reading the newspaper to relieve boredom, when there's a knock on the door. The person knocking on the door is Sun-hae. Seeing Sun-hae covered in injuries, Jongdae can guess what happened. The very next day, Jongdae goes to find his brother-in-law to question him, but he doesn't show any remorse. He only talks about the difficult business situation and that the family is struggling, asking what's wrong with Sun-hae taking a little money. Hearing this, Jongdae pulls out a bag of money and tells him not to hit Sun-hae again in the future. One of Jongdae's men suddenly reports that Taegon has gone out. So, Jongdae immediately stages a well-rehearsed scene. He has a gigolo and a beautiful woman who accidentally bump into Taegon, then has the beautiful sister use her charms to seduce him. The lecherous man is no slouch either. After just a few flirtatious glances, he rushes into a room with the sister. But the joy is short-lived. The next morning, Jongdae leads his men to kick down the door and catch them in the act. Even more surprising, the person lying next to the man at that time turns out to be the gigolo from the previous day. Jongdae doesn't forget to include a set of damning evidence right in front of him. He doesn't need to say much. Jongdae points to each photo and explains that this guy not only has an affair with another person's wife, but he's also messing around with the male driver. His lifestyle is so free and open that it's alarming. He reminds him that if he doesn't want to be a guest of honor at the police station, he'd better be discreet. The man, hearing this, cries and begs for his life. After that operation, Jongdae quickly brings all the information to Taegon. Then the two of them sit down and analyze it carefully. From this, Taegon vaguely guesses part of his opponent's plan. Fearing that he'll be kicked out of the game like a superfluous pawn, Taegon decides to go directly to meet Young-kyu, of course, not forgetting to bring the new evidence so he can negotiate. Before long, because there's no concrete evidence, Gil-su is about to be released. The group continues to gather in full to plan their actions for the coming days. Yong-ji, on the other hand, is in deep trouble. The cold body of the subordinate he took care of was discovered by Ji-taek. Coincidentally, the coordinates where the cold body was found perfectly matched the location of Yong-ji's phone on that day. Yong-ji has just returned to base and hasn't even sat down when he sees his subordinates tied up like pigs. He just steps forward to check when he's immediately pulled back by Ji-taek's people. The group calmly mentions the cold body floating on the river. Before long, Yong-ji is dragged before Ji-taek. The man doesn't rush to use force. He only asks if Yong-ji has anything to explain. Facing that cold gaze, Yong-ji continues to insist that he doesn't know anything. He acts so innocent that outsiders would start to doubt. Then, Yong-ji says that maybe he accidentally revealed the location where he disposed of the body when he was captured, so it was exploited by Gil-su's people. Hearing this, Gil-su's eyes narrow as if a new idea has just flashed into his mind. He says that if Yong-ji wants to prove that he hasn't betrayed them, he should take care of Gil-su himself, the man who currently holds the land documents that they all crave. Jongdae, on the other hand, rushes to the hospital as soon as he hears that Sun-hae has been beaten. As soon as he arrives, the scene that hits his eyes makes him grind his teeth in anger. Sun-hae's face is full of bruises, swollen and disfigured. Without thinking, Jongdae flies into a rage and rushes off to find his sister's no-good husband. As soon as he meets him, Jongdae immediately pounces like a whirlwind. He's so angry that he can't control himself and constantly questions what he is that he dares to beat his sister. At this point, in Jongdae's eyes, he's no longer his brother-in-law, but just a worthless, uneducated brute. At the same time, when Gil-su gets home, he finds Yong-ji waiting for him. Without giving him time to react, Yong-ji warns Gil-su to take Jongdae and immediately flee from this place, because Ji-taek said that in a few days, he'll send people to take care of them to reclaim all the land documents. However, tragedy strikes as Gil-su turns to leave, and a sharp knife is stabbed deep into his back. Gil-su freezes for a moment, unable to believe that Yong-ji stabbed him in the back, without hesitation. In the blink of an eye, Gil-su has left the game forever, saying goodbye to life. At Gil-su's funeral, the old fox Gil-soo shamelessly shows up to lay a wreath. Holding the wreath, he utters a few words of condolences. Looking like a close brother, Jongdae stands there, his eyes red, unable to speak. Even more painful is that he hasn't even found out who the real killer is. As for Young-ji, after taking out Gil-soo, he gains the boss's absolute trust, as if nothing had happened. Ji-taek takes this opportunity to arrange a new plan. Wait until the day of Gil-soo's funeral, then bury Jongdae's entire group with him, taking out one person and conveniently wiping out a whole gang. Then they'll seize all the land documents in Gil-soo's hands. A single arrow hits 3 targets. It sounds incredibly exciting. The day of Gil-soo's funeral finally arrives. Whether intentionally or unintentionally, the sky pours down rain, the wind howls, and the storm rages, as if foreshadowing a bloody battle about to take place outside the cemetery. Ji-taek's people have set up a tight trap, just waiting for Jongdae and his crew to appear and catch them all at once. No one speaks. The two sides only use their eyes to measure the distance. Then they all rush forward like wild beasts driven mad. Ji-taek's subordinates, hearing the order to eliminate them all, immediately rush in, slashing without restraint. But at this moment, a miracle happens. Just when it seems the game is set, Young-ji turns against them. Ji-taek's people, before they can even recover, are stabbed in the back repeatedly. At that time, Jongdae's people also rushed in to provide support. Without negotiation, without reconciliation, the two sides rush at each other to fight to the death. The result is that Ji-taek's army is shattered. People fall and collapse. All are sunk in the mud, like a burial ritual for Gil-soo. After that battle full of carnage and tears, the government finally takes action. They issued a new policy to solve the problem of overpopulation in Seoul. The solution is to expand the city limits, incorporating the entire southern region into the urban area. After the battle ends, Tae-gon, who has won the victory, immediately holds a private meeting with Jongdae. But this meeting is not to discuss or ask for opinions, but to give orders. He calmly tells Jongdae to deal with all those involved in the case. From Ji-taek to Ianki must be eliminated. In return, he promises to hand over all the land belonging to Seoul to Jongdae to manage. Hearing this, Jongdae's face turns pale, because, after all, Young-ji is still family. But he can only nod because refusal isn't an option. However, before he can even take action, Jongdae discovers a shocking secret. Tracking down a subordinate connected to Gil-soo's passing, under the detailed testimony of this person, Jongdae learns that the person who harmed Gil-soo was Young-ji. Shaken to the core, Jongdae slowly returns home. Flipping through the old photos, the memories of the past flooding back like a torrent, both warm and bitter. Every time he looks at a photo, his heart clenches. When he opens the family register, he's petrified. Gil-soo had long ago added his name as a biological son and recognized him as family. Jongdae is stunned to the point that his hands tremble and his eyes turn red. The pain of losing a loved one surges to its peak, and he can't even cry. As for Young-ji, he knows that everything will be revealed sooner or later, so he decides to make a final move. He plans to take advantage of the time when Jongdae goes to meet Ji-taek to eliminate all the trouble. But Young-ji doesn't expect that Jongdae has already guessed his scheme. As Young-ji finishes off Ji-taek and turns to retreat, Jongdae is already standing there, his hand holding a gun, his face unchanged. Without a word of warning, he fires, aiming straight at Young-ji's shoulder. The cold gun in Jongdae's hand is pointed straight at Young-ji's forehead. His eyes no longer hold anger, but a pain that has been suppressed for too long. He questions why Young-ji did that to Gil-soo, the person who once sheltered him. Initially, Young-ji tries to deny it, trying to buy time for his men to come to the rescue. But Jongdae calmly states that his men have all withdrawn from the game. Hearing this, Young-ji knows that he can't continue acting. He lets out a heavy sigh and coldly says, "If Gil-soo still exists, then the person who has to leave the chessboard is me." Hearing this, Jongdae suddenly feels cold for a few seconds. A series of old images flood back, and then he lowers his gun, not because of hesitation, but because his heart doesn't allow it. Finally, instead of ending everything violently, he only tells Young-ji to go as far away as possible. But even though Jongdae has let him go, Tae-gon has no intention of doing so. To him, anyone who's outside the plan must be cleaned up, and Young-ji is the first. Someone is arranged to quietly approach him, and in just a moment, everything is plunged into eternal silence. As for Jongdae, at that time standing on a train, he's also put on a list to be cleaned up. Everything ends quietly, just as it began. The The politicians still appear at a lavish party, raising their glasses, endlessly praising each other with flowery words, because in the battle of the rich and powerful, the lives of ordinary people are just pawns to exchange for a beautiful game. No one weeps, no one remembers, each person is just a faint dot in the hands of those who decide the rules of the game.